And Senator Lindsey Graham joining me now from Capitol Hill. Senator, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
Honored to be with you.
All right. Hey, look, the fetal pain bill. I mean, this is your baby, no pun intended here.
Right, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the bill and why this is important for Americans to know about.
Okay, it's called the Pain Capable bill. What it does at the 20-week period of being born, at 20 weeks, an unborn child can feel pain. If you do surgery on a baby at 20 weeks, which you can, you provide anesthesia. So what we're saying is, if medical science has advanced to the point that you have to provide anesthesia to an unborn child, should we prohibit abortions at that point? We're talking about the 6th month of pregnancy. Babies are delivered at 20 weeks that survive, but this is a different legal theory. The Supreme Court says the state has a compelling interest and can protect the unborn at medical viability. We're taking a different approach. We're saying in 2013, not 1973, that science has advanced so far that we now know that baby, that child, can feel pain. And if a child can feel pain, is it appropriate for the legislative body of the Congress to protect that child from an abortion? My answer is yes. The science between 1973 and now is just vastly different. Babies are born at 20 weeks and they survive, but we do know without any doubt that a baby at 20 weeks, you should sing and talk to your baby because they can hear you. What I'm trying to do is get to the truth, and wherever it falls, it falls. I believe the Obama administration's story about a protest, that this was a protest caused by a hateful video, makes no sense. And the only way I'll be satisfied is if I can talk to the survivors. 14 months after the attack, the Congress has only talked to one survivor, and they had to subpoena that person. There are 6 to 8 Department of State survivors there at the consulate in Benghazi. They were interviewed by the FBI in Germany 2 days after the attack, but the Obama administration will not let us talk to the survivors or look at the FBI interviews. What would it mean if they never indicated there was a protest? What if the survivors told the system from day one this was a terrorist attack? How could that protest scenario 8 weeks before an election ever start? Secondly, what will the survivors say about security? Did they ask for security months before the attack? Who did they ask and what were they told? That's the only way you'll hold this administration accountable for Benghazi, is to be able to talk to the witnesses. And the fact that you would even consider closing this investigation until an independent body like Congress had a chance to talk to the survivors is just completely unacceptable.
And the fact that this president now has been known to, in essence, lie as it relates to Obamacare, and if you like your doctor and your health care plan, you can keep it, and now this Benghazi situation, there seems to be some connecting of the dots.
Well, this is very important. The policy people told the political people, when the president says if you like your coverage, you can keep it, and if you like your doctor, you can keep them, that's not accurate. The political people told the policy people, this is working, this is selling. So how could the president and Susan Rice, weeks after the attack, talk about a protest, a spontaneous protest caused by a hateful video, when not one person in Libya ever suggested there was a protest? It means one of two things. It means that when the president tells you if you like your policy, you can keep it, he knows absolutely nothing about his own law, or he's in on misleading. When the President of the United States told us 2 weeks after the attack, we think it was a mob caused by a video, and there's no real evidence of that, it means he's completely disconnected from what happened to the murder of 4 Americans, or he's trying to spin a story 8 weeks before election. Because you got to remember what he told us. Bin Laden's dead, Al-Qaeda's on the run. Libya was Exhibit A of their foreign policy failing. Libya was about Al-Qaeda attacking our consulate, not a mob, and the 60-minute story is so explosive. The 60-minute story proves that this not only was a pre-planned attack, unlike what Susan Rice said, it was planned by Al-Qaeda, and they named the people in charge who were first-string Al-Qaeda types, which destroys the whole scenario they were telling us about Libya. That's why I'm not going to let go of this. I cannot let go of this until we get to the truth. And one thing I want to hear from the survivors, did you think somebody from your government was going to help you once you were under attack? And when you learned they were not coming, how did you feel? Every American needs to hear that from the survivors, so we will never allow that to happen again. Cutting $1.2 trillion out of the federal budget on the discretionary side, 35%, is not going to right the financial ship. That's a small amount of money. But we're taking half of that $1.2 trillion out of defense because of sequestration. When the super committee failed to find a bipartisan solution to cut $1.2 trillion, the penalty clause called sequestration took half of the cuts out of 20% of the budget called the Defense Department. If we don't fix sequestration, by the end of the 10-year period, we'll be down to the smallest Navy since 1915, the smallest Army since 1940, and the smallest Air Force in modern history at a time radical Islam is on the march. Israel's under the gun from the Iranian nuclear program. I can't think of a dumber thing for the Congress to do to destroy the Defense Department at the time we need it because we couldn't find a way to cut the budget in a smarter fashion. I, along with Senator McCain and Ayotte, are going to find a way to put money back into the Defense Department at an acceptable level. They've already had $500 billion cut. It's not like they're immune from cuts. This is not reforming the Pentagon. This is destroying our ability to defend ourselves. And from a conservative's point of view, the number one role of the federal government, as far as I'm concerned, is to defend the nation. I have supported 89 billion cuts, 400 and something billion, almost $500 billion taken out of the Defense Department. There is waste, but we're talking about the amount of money we spend on defense at the end of the 10-year period will be half in terms of our GDP. How much money have we historically spent to defend the nation in terms of gross domestic product, all the goods and services? It's over 5. We'll be at about 2.2%. Can you imagine, with the threats we face from radical Islam, our intelligence community, our Defense Department, where do the new weapon systems of the future come from? Over half of your defense cost of personnel cost. If this continues, if sequestration continues in place, we'll be flying planes 10 years from now that are going to get shot down. And all the technology we've developed over the last 20 years to overwhelm our enemies will be lost. This is an insult to the men and women of the military. And as Republicans agreeing to this, we lost our way. Ronald Reagan would never allow the Defense Department to be put at risk like this. Lindsey Graham is going to try to fix it. I've been in for 30 years. I've seen up close. I've done my reserve duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. You've got a generation of young people who have known nothing but war. I want them to be the best equipped, the best trained, and have an overwhelming advantage against our enemies.